What if you could remake your favorite childhood game in the Unreal Engine with glorious 4K and ray tracing? Well, that's what Kryzen is actually doing. He's a solo, seemingly self-taught indie game dev who's spent the last 8 years working on a remake of some classic Nintendo games in Unreal Engine. But his main project is a remake of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Originally released on the N64 back in 1998, it's considered one of the best Zelda games ever made. Unfortunately, Nintendo haven't really attempted a proper HD remaster or remake of the game for the modern era of gamer. Hence Kryzen's very ambitious remake. And last month, he released a new build of the game that you can actually download and play for free, and it is incredibly impressive. Built in Unreal Engine 5, it supports Lumen, aka Dynamic Global Illumination, as well as DLSS upscaling and frame generation. Now, as you can see from the side-by-sides that I put together, the modern rendering tech and Kryzen's work to recreate the original assets really brings out the beauty, the grandeur, and the detail hidden by the original game's limitations. And it's clear to see the passion and the extreme work that Kryzen has put into this remaster. What's also impressive is that it isn't just a tech demo showcase of some levels and character models. I'd be hesitant to call it a complete game since everything is still very much a work in progress with the remake, but it's much closer to an actual game than most Unreal Engine fan remakes. Cutscenes, dialogue, animations, combat, inventory management, pretty much all of the core gameplay mechanics present in the original game are playable in this demo to some degree. Truly, this dev's work is an awesome accomplishment, and if he keeps it up and Nintendo doesn't issue him a cease and desist, which is entirely possible, this project could end up becoming a very faithful and fun remake of Ocarina of Time. Now, I gotta say, I appreciated how easy it is to just download and start playing this game. To capture the original Ocarina of Time footage for this video, I had to download 2 different Nintendo 64 emulators, and I spent the better part of an hour just configuring them to get my footage of the original game. But for the remake, I just downloaded a zip file, unpacked it, launched the game, and there I was, playing. Really, the most work I had to do was just rebind a couple of keys here and there. Comparing that to the effort that myself and my editor Alex have had to put into covering other community-made fan projects like Fallout mods, Starfield modding, and Unreal Engine 5 demos, playing through Kryzen's work is an actual breeze. Now, one of the things that struck me when loading this up for the first time was that, well, Nintendo's original art direction and style for Ocarina doesn't directly translate to a modern photorealistic presentation. Kryzen seems to be shooting for the HD remake look, but that's really hard when everything is so stylized for extremely low poly graphics. That said, the style of the remake has really evolved over time to be, well, more faithful to the original, less photorealistic, and just more cohesive overall. And eventually it's very possible that this will also just look much more polished over time. But that might also sort of go against, I think, the point of his project, to make the classic game look as visually impressive as possible and not just a stylized update. Most developers would just take the original game and translate its assets as faithfully as possible with modern tech to throw on some pretty lighting and post-processing. But it seems like Kryzen's goal isn't just to remaster the original game one for one, he's also embellishing areas like the Lost Woods to give them more vibrant backgrounds, more areas to explore, and a more interconnected feeling. I get the feeling that he's taking the nostalgia-fueled memory of what he remembers the game being and sort of updating it to fit that vision as an adult. It's very impressive and a huge amount of work. So much so that I actually have a hard time imagining him actually finishing the project, whereas if he had just imported all the assets and done a few visual tweaks here and there, it probably could have been completed much quicker. And as good as Kryzen's work looks, it also does have some rough spots, like textures that were clearly distorted and stretched to cover larger areas than intended. The character models have a weird, realistic anime look to them that doesn't totally fit with the game's more realistic lighting and texture work, and I also ran into some technical issues like bugs that broke movement controls. And one of the less faithful adaptations from the original game is the use of modern controls that let you play with, well, a mouse and keyboard, which of course makes tons of sense, but in other ways it also sort of trivializes some of the combat compared to playing with the original controller. This remake lets you move the camera around independent of the character movement, and while it has seemingly small consequences, the result can be quite annoying, like the camera being so close to the ground by default that tall grass pretty much obstructs your view a lot of the time, or it just forces you to constantly reorient the camera to get a clear view of what you wanted to interact with. Also, the vistas and landmarks of Zelda games are a huge component of the visual storytelling and navigation. Specific items are designed to be seen as you round a corner or come over a ridge and draw you toward a new objective. So these camera issues make paying attention to those elements and just interacting with the world more troublesome than they were in the original game. Again, these issues don't get in the way of it being a cool experience, but it would be nice if those elements could be improved to get some of the original mechanics to be a little more accurate, at least as an option perhaps. Now, all that said, it is impossible to ignore just how impressive this project is. Kryzen has spent 8 years remaking the entire game by himself, and every year it seems to get more and more polished and impressive. The fact that it's actually a playable game and not just a collection of static levels you can walk around in shows me that he's actually serious about completing this as a full project. I sincerely hope that Nintendo doesn't slap the old cease and desist on him, but if they do, at the very least, hopefully the dev could use this as an impressive portfolio piece to get a nice job. Assuming he doesn't already have one, considering the technical skill that it probably took to get this far. Now, these types of projects can lead people down impressive learning paths that essentially train them to be full-on devs. The tools and assets that you can take advantage of to make games these days are genuinely insane compared to what was available back when I was making apps on the iPhone 1. It's become faster, easier, and honestly just more fun to make games, and I'd imagine that we're going to start seeing a lot more projects like this popping up all over the place. Now, I'd be curious what you guys think about these Unreal Engine or just general fan remakes of projects. Are there any other cool fan remakes that you like that you think I should cover on this channel? I'd be curious to know in the comments below. I do like diving into these neat little niche projects. Now, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave me a like, hit that subscribe button, and ding the notification bell to make sure that you can beat that YouTube algorithm with me. And also, I've been working on my own Unreal Engine game project. It's a spaceship game. We just began development of it pretty much on New Year's, and I'm very excited about it, and I'm really excited about making the devlogs that you guys can watch. I'm going to launch them weekly. You can watch the first one here. I think it's going to be a fun process. I hope you guys enjoy it. And as always, thanks for watching this video. I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.